this is beauty. This is beauty, that you can be the best version of yourself. That's beauty for us. That's beauty for Love Your Melanin.
You're listening to the Love Your Melanin podcast with Maya and Sevein.
Hello, welcome to Love Your Melanin. This is our podcast with Sevein. I'm an aesthetic doctor, and
Maya, cosmetic chemist.
And what is this podcast going to be about? Well, a whole lot of things, right? What are you most excited about, Maya?
I am so excited that, first of all, that we were able to connect. You're all the way in Mexico, and I'm here in Florida. And through technology, we found that we have a lot of things that we like and that we believe in that are in common. And so it's amazing how the world is big, but it's also small at the same time. And that we were able to get together, connect, and make this podcast happen because there is something that's very lacking on this market. Talking to people who are melanin dominant, we will call it, and who, even though we're all human beings and we have a lot of the basic things that are all the same, but having more melanin in our skin makes it react differently, and we need to be aware and talk to people who are melanin dominated.
Yeah, that's right. So it's like you said, I think it's an amazing thing. Out of all the negative that come with social media, this, I think, it's one of the true jewels, to be able to connect without traveling, the distances or waiting for paths to meet. Like you and I think we are very similar in our approach. We've talked some, and we're beauty geeks from young age, and we're really science focused. So I think that's what made me fall in love with you and the way that you explain things. And so our first chat, actually, I think it was through
Zoom.
Facebook. I'm not sure.
Facebook,
right.
some things, one of the social medias.
Yeah,
I think it was Instagram. Yes. Definitely.
Yeah. And it was so entertaining. And this is where the podcast idea was like, wouldn't it be amazing if other melanin-rich girls and women could have heard in on our conversation? Because it was so entertaining, and I think we vibrate in this range where we're just being very positive and trying to empower girls like us. Let's just say girls. No age applies, right? So girls like us that are actually, have their own lives, and they're driven by many things, like yourself and like myself. I'm an aesthetic doctor. I was first a GP. I went into to become an OBGYN. Then I decided I wanted to have a career that was more family friendly. In my country, to practice medicine, you have to be very, very dedicated time-wise. So I've always loved beauty. It was something that since I was a teenager, I was always fighting for, with my parents' permission. If I get good grades, can I get a lip gloss? Because my dad, he has PhD in thermodynamics, and he probably wanted me to be an astronaut or something, and wanted me to stay furthest away from makeup that he could keep me. But it was something that naturally came to me. I was always attracted to beauty and to like understanding the why, and why is my hair curly, why is somebody's hair straight, and blah 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 blah. So it was something that I've always been attracted to as a way to express my mood, the way I feel inside. And I think I've now, at my almost 40 years of age, I've come to understand that beauty is another way to express, to express what it is that you stand for, what it is that you believe in, what it is that you're going, where you're going to, what it is that you want to attract in your life. And it's just another way of expressing. Just like some people have, beautiful handwriting and that's their hobby. I think beauty is a tool. It's a means and it's also a goal, and it has many, many different interpretations. There's not just one standard, but it's something that gives us girls, just a boost, and it's with us, makes us express and let everybody else that's watching from outside know how we feel. What do you think? I think that's.
I am coming from the same thing as where you're saying that we needed to, for me, getting into expressing ourselves through beauty, it came a little later.
Mhm.
Growing up, I grew up in Haiti, and at that time, it wasn't what we were growing up with. Was okay, you put a little lip gloss and a little mascara, and you were good to go. So it wasn't something in the 80s that it was as prominent as it is now. Okay. However, what was a lot prominent, and at least in the family that I grew up with, was taking care of yourself. We wouldn't go running to a doctor as much as we went running outside to pick in our favorite tree which leaf was going to cure this, which leaf was going to cure that. And so we were much more into the natural thing, to keeping your beauty and to keeping your health. And
Mm.
what came with that as well was, okay, we knew that taking care of ourselves on the inside, but also on the outside. So it was amazing that we would go to the beach and never stop for a minute to think that after a day at the beach, for example, we knew that, hey, this aloe plant, we need to take a leaf off of this aloe plant, peel it, and put it all over our skin, because we knew that there would be damage after the sun. So always made sure that there was something that would come through that. So that was more or less how the whole thing of beauty, of keeping up with self-care, came to be. And even when I traveled here to come to study, I started out to try to
Mm.
be a doctor like you. and and
And
and
you corrected your path.
and it just did not work out for me, because I noticed that going through pre-med the first 4 years, I noticed that I had to do something different, because I was literally starting to be, I not sure how to describe it, but maybe be a little crazy, because every time I studied a new sickness, 2 weeks later I had the sickness. Okay. And
Yeah.
it did not help things that I worked at a hospital. I worked in the chemistry lab at the hospital. So I was processing the blood, I was drawing blood, I worked in the microbiology lab, and all of the things that I saw would come out of a human being when the doctors would send over the stuff. I said, wait a minute. Did this come out of it?
A human.
What? So
Mm.
every time I studied a new thing at school, I came down with that sickness. And of course, I made sure that all of the doctors I was working with knew that, oh, I have lupus. You don't understand. You need to start treating me for that, because here are all of the symptoms. But just so happens that I had learned all of the symptoms 2 weeks ago. So then
Yeah.
the day that I got stuck in a bathroom for
Mhm.
10 minutes before somebody else walked in, because I had washed my hands and I had just learned the word fomite.
Oh
And
my God. And you couldn't wash enough.
I couldn't wash, I couldn't turn off the water, I couldn't open the door. I can get out of the bathroom. I had to wait for somebody to come, and I literally, got myself out of the bathroom that way, and then try to make a phone call back in the 80s and 90s with the payphone. And so I'd be calling somebody, "Hello, this is Maya. You have to yell." I can be a doctor.
Just background for anyone who's listening in. So Maya is anything that's an inanimated object that can hold bacteria, viruses, mold, anything that pathogen on the surface, and then once somebody touches it, then transmission or cross contamination happens. So there you go. You understand? She didn't want to touch anything in that mess.
I'm not going to be able to continue like this because people are going to think that there's something not right with me, that everything I didn't want to touch. I would get to work 50 minutes in advance and disinfect everything. This was just, then I saw an ad for a in the paper for a technician at a cosmetic company. I applied, I got the job, and I never looked back. So now that's how I became a cosmetic chemist, which is still get to be scientific, but at the same time creative and not worried about if I'm going to die from a certain sickness.
Okay. Full disclosure. I think everybody in med school goes through that period at some point.
Really?
I think everybody in med school. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. But you've corrected your path, girl. It's fine.
Yes,
It's fine.
yes.
But it's so fascinating how you can you look back, and when you're explaining your professional beginning and how it derived into you having you being a CEO of your own company. That's amazing, girl. I'm your fan.
Thank you.
And I know many others will be. But the thing is, how amazing is it that beauty helped you reset?
Yes.
Your life path.
Yes.
And you're living a fulfilling life professionally, that is because you were open to this opportunity in beauty.
Yes.
No?
Yes. Very much so. And
it is. Oh.
And that now it's even more exciting that now we've partnered up, and with the Love Your Melanin, we're going to be talking to all women, whether they have melanin or not. It's just that we have identified a gap where people need to be actually talking to us and not at us. And I've been on social media for the past few months, which made me realize even more. I have seen there's so many things that people are lacking. Even, for example, there is a gentleman that I'm following on Instagram, and he was correcting another hairstylist. He's a hairstylist, but he was correcting another hairstylist about how this hairstylist was treating this lady he was putting hair color in her hair. And he was apparently using twice the amount of volume to make the hair turn blonde that you should on a lady who has curly, coily hair, because it's just going to break the hair. Because, of course, people of color don't have that same capacity in their hair, where it's a lot more fragile, let's just say it. And that you can go to your hairstylist, and that hairstylist is not educated in how to treat your hair and how to take your hair, then it's going to only create damage and break your hair in the long run. So we all need all of those things. And I am fascinated to find out that even in cosmetology school, they are not shown or educated on the differences with hair types. Like for me, it's so just a known. It's a given. I know that Asian hair is the best hair that you want to have when you're a woman, specifically because of the diameter of the Asian hair, that it's the thickest.
This is why we get the extension hair from
It's
Asia,
exactly, but their hair diameter is a lot thicker than any other hair in the world. That's the reason why they can color, they can treat, they can put whatever it is that they want, and the hair is never going to break. Whereas with African hair or very curly hair, first of all, that the diameter is very little, and that it's curly means that you have to apply a lot more force to bring it out. So that means that you're going to immediately damage it. So we need to know all of these differences. So congratulations,
stay
you Asian
hydrated.
girls. You can do whatever you want with your hair.
with your hair.
I mean, even Caucasian hair is not as thick as Asian hair. They're literally, and that's from just the diameter of the hair. It's thicker, so it can sustain a lot more things that you can do to it.
Yeah, and like you say, there is. We all have melanin. Of course, we're all humans, and so we all have melanin. But so this podcast, its aim is to be inclusive with every person who has come across the need to for more bespoke treatments, beauty treatments, for more, haute couture, let's say, or made to size beauty treatments, beauty trends, anything from hair to skin to nails. Because if you're Latina, like I am, or if you are any other, from any other background that has, because of our genetics, more pigment in the skin, even if we're paler, it doesn't matter. It's just, the genetics are there. It makes our skin behave differently. Like Maya, you just said, even the hair behave differently. It's like, for instance, whenever I travel to Europe, I stock up on things for African hair, for Middle Eastern hair and skin, because it's more, supplemented to my needs, because I'm a Latina. So I have thicker hair. My hair is dry, but I've got tons of it, but I have to hydrate it, and it's not the same needs like other brands that are very popular could be catering to, a large population, let's say for in the US, but maybe not specifically for in my case, Latinas. And so I definitely feel that. And where I also feel there's a huge void, not only in the market, but just beauty in general, beauty, social media, beauty, everything, is with trends. I think that melanin-rich skin is not always, as of lately, a bit more, but not always has it been, included or taken into account when beauty trends are being set or designed. Because there's so much cultural richness in every single culture that is melanin rich, in every culture. But we're talking specifically about Love Your Melanin, because we want to empower girls who are listening to us, and women who are, in the workforce, and they see that their workmates are not, dealing with the same issues because maybe they're not as melanin rich as they are. We want to be, your partner in crime, girl. We want to tell you what the good stuff is. We want to tell you what to stay away from. We are going to find out. If we don't have a kinky, curly, African-American hair, we're going to find out and figure out what it is that is best for you, what is not the coolest thing for you to do for your skin, for your hair. So we're here for you. This is what Love Your Melanin is all about. It's about just girls like you and I figuring out what the tips and the tricks of the trade of having tons of melanin or some melanin is, beauty-wise. But this is beauty. This is beauty, that you can be the best version of yourself. That's beauty for us. That's beauty for Love Your Melanin.
Yes,
That's what we're here for, right?
Couldn't have said it any better. That's right.
Awesome. So welcome to our first Love Your Melanin segment. This is something that we will be bringing in, every now and then. We hope to hear your feedback as well, see how you like this segment. And this segment, we're going to be talking about holy grails, okay? Beauty holy grails, which is like products that are very commercial and that are like mass produced and mass purchased, and everybody talks about them, and so we're gonna figure out if they're all that, right? And if they're all
Yes.
that melanin rich skin. Because if tons of people love the product, it's gotta be good. And we're not gonna be about bashing brands. It's not about
No.
us. That's not what we're gonna be about, okay? So if you do hear that we don't particularly recommend a certain product for melanin rich skin, it's not that we're bashing the brand, this is only our opinion from our experience, from our research, and it's not for bashing brands. And I think in personally, I will make an effort if there's a product I don't like from a certain brand to intensively look into that same brand and find out what could be used for melanin rich skin. So this segment is holy grail products. And so Maya, do you have some holy grail products that you've seen everybody use or rave about, but you're not so sure that the best option for us melanin rich girls?
Where do I
Where to
start?
begin?
Let me start with my favorite one that I keep
Okay.
trying to tell people over and over and over again. And that one for me is hydroquinone. Okay. Um, I am very much against it. I know that there are financial reasons why it is still not banned in the US, for example, where this product is banned in almost every other country, this specific
Mm-hmm.
ingredient. And it's too bad because so many people have access to it a little bit too easily, in my personal opinion, because this is still
Mm-hmm.
an over the counter drug. You can, however, still walk into a pharmacy and have access to it and get it. It's considered to be the holy grail, the gold standard to get rid of hyperpigmentation. But if you ask me, there's way too many side effects for us to still be using hydroquinone when the fact
Mm-hmm.
is that there are so many other ingredients that work the same way, but that are still safe and are not going to
Mm-hmm.
be entering into our bloodstream. And what it is, it's a benzene derivative. Let's just talk about that, which means that it's
Mm-hmm.
straight from petrochemical and it can cause cancer.
Yeah, and in the way of causing cancer, um, there's always some other things that it could, wreak havoc especially in our hormone system. So it's
Yes.
just something that we really should stay away from. And so this is also the perspective that we want to propose to the listeners. It's your melanin is not your enemy, right? So it's not that we want to just completely disable our natural mechanism of defense, which is producing melanin
Thank you.
in our skin.
Thank you for
It,
saying that.
yeah, it's not the enemy. So
It's
love
not.
your melanin. What's your goal with using hydroquinone? What could it be? Could it be you want to, blur spots? What other uses are there? Many, especially Latinas and Asians. I've seen some products that have been launched, including this chemical in their formula for bleaching skin, or
Bleaching.
having this overall. So
Bleaching.
the message is, girl, your melanin is not your enemy,
Nope.
right?
Nope.
So there's something in there. Why do you want to get rid of your melanin rich appearance? Is it because you have, blotchy complexion? Okay, we're gonna hook you up with some stuff that will give you like a solution for that, to have a more uniform complexion. And I get it. It's about being, looking healthy and glowy and, just having a uniform skin appearance. I get that. But analyze, am I purchasing these products because deep down, I think I'm going to look lighter. I'm going to be whiter. Like, just the message is, girl, if especially teenage girls, love your melanin. Love your melanin. It will save you from lots of health issues, and it will empower you to come into this stage in life where you eventually love yourself as you are.
Right.
Right. And evidently see, have opportunities where you can improve emotionally and, professionally and with your relationships and, externally and physically. Of course, we're all about taking those
Yes. Yes.
improvement
Yes.
options, but just, using chemicals so harsh and that can actually represent so many health hazards that are serious stuff, like very serious stuff. Why would we want to do that? And I think that deep down, it might be embedded into like our culture that we want to be a bit lighter. So
A
we
bit,
just have to
yeah.
watch out for
A
that.
little too
Yeah,
much. I mean,
yeah.
this is reason why I want to wage war against this particular ingredient is also the fact that I'm from Haiti originally. And I know I've
Mm-hmm.
seen what these women are doing to themselves. And this is not even funny anymore because not only do they take the hydroquinone, we have been so ingrained that being lighter skin means that you have not only you're seen as a better human being, okay,
Mm-hmm.
but then you'd know that you've got access to a better life because you're treated differently. And so I've seen what these Haitian women are doing to themselves, and it's absolutely appalling. Because not only do they use the hydroquinone, they take the hydroquinone cream, they add
Mm-hmm.
actual Clorox bleach to it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And all of the dermatologists that I work with in Haiti, we have tried to put something together to tell them to appreciate their melanin because they're going around
Mm-hmm.
and you can see the pus sometimes under their skin in their faces because they're using a combination of Clorox bleach along with hydroquinone and making themselves completely turn like it's just like you're bleaching a some jeans or whatever it is that literally the face is turning white like this here and you can still see where up
Oh.
by the scalp there's still a little color and then that turns to definite skin cancer. So they're actually going out and giving themselves skin cancer all in the name of being a lighter skin, which is seriously such an irony because people, Caucasian people, are going under the light, what the tanning beds to get a little color, and so it's just wow. It's
So it's precisely what we want to shine a light on, right? I know it's going to be, very divided. Opinion is very divided on hydroquinone. And if you're, if whoever's listening, if there's some dermatologists or other colleagues, doctors or chemists, and listening to us, we just want to put it out there. We trust professionals who have,
yeah,
the knowledge, the criteria, the training to determine when you can like very like gunpoint precision just use ingredients that are so dangerous, such as these. So that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about using these ingredients like in, everybody, like Holy Grail beauty, where everybody just gets access to it, and where the beauty standard is not about absolutely falling in love with your skin color and not judging whoever uses it, but just inviting whoever is using this product or who's ever considering of having this effects on their skin to have a moment of introspection. And we're two melanin-rich girls that are telling you we've been there, right? We've been there through the social pressure of not looking like the girl that's on the 17 magazine when you were a little girl, and not feeling represented in the beauty industry or within the beauty standards set by our society, wherever you may be, in the US or in Europe or Mexico or in Haiti, you're Latina, whatever. There's always a beauty standard that it's fixated not by us, not by our mom and our grandma and our aunts and our tias. It's not by that. It's because of many other interests that we're not aware of when we're becoming young women, and where our self image is being formed, and our beauty standards are being computed into our brain by everything that we're surrounded. So this is where we want to shine a light constantly on, is you don't have to adapt. The listener, you girl, you don't have to adapt to what the magazine said you should look like, what it implied you should look like. You have to be you.
Yes.
And if somebody or someone or a magazine or social media or whoever, if you detect that they're expecting you to change or look a way that you are not, and that you have to modify, even put yourself at risk to get that, to obtain that. Otherwise, you won't fit in, girl. You have to move on
That's
from
right.
that, whatever that is, because it's not. And this is why Maya and I are here to, just let you know that it's not. So, Maya, all right. Hydroquinone. All right, we're not going to buy that. We're not going to use it. If we have it, check your ingredient list of all your beauty products, girls. And if that's in there, go, like, trash can now. But then, what can we use to unify, to illuminate the skin, to substitute this ingredient when it's being used for spots and sun damage and all these things that we're very prone to as melanin-rich girls?
Every day the market is bringing us new ingredients, and that's one of the things that I'm going to make sure that you stay updated with. But there are things that are, and it doesn't even have to be naturally derived, although I'm very partial to everything natural, okay? But that doesn't mean that I can't look at an ingredient that's not natural, that if, as long as it is safe, that it's not going to provoke any kind of inflammation, any kind of irritation on the skin, that's something that I will recommend always. And I think that there is so many things that even cause the dark spots or the hyperpigmentation or different things. And one of the things I think that people need to start really focusing on is skin hydration. I think that if we focus on making sure that our skin is hydrated on the inside and out, we're going to have a lot less problems than we actually ever think. Because hydration. Our bodies are sometimes in a state of probably acidity because there's a lot more protons and things that provoke the whether it be wrinkles, what I call now fake wrinkles, because it can actually happen that we have fake wrinkles because our skin is so dehydrated. And so it's the same thing for some people who think that they are breaking out in acne. It's because there's a lack of water, or they have a lot more comedons on their nose. It's the lack of water that's pushing out to push out those comedons. So there's so many things that we need to look at first before we go address all of the other side effects, because people are born with 4 skin types. And it's a normal oily mix and oily, dry. Thank you. I got my- and and some of the things that we know, sensitive skin it becomes sensitized by some things that we use. Um, Acne is oily skin is acne prone. So there are so many things that we need to make sure that we first take care of the basic. And when we take care of those basics, then we can look into, okay, other ingredients we can have an acne breakout. And we need to
Mm-hmm.
use things for acne breakout. But once the acne and the breakout is gone, then we go back
Mm-hmm.
to treating our oily skin. Okay. So those
Okay.
things we first need to look at is, and that is all related to our skin being dehydrated inside and out.
Okay.
Of course, it can be caused by other things like hormones and things like that. So,
Mm-hmm.
what are some good ingredients to replace hydroquinone that work just as well? CBD,
Okay.
resveratrol, vitamin C,
Mm-hmm.
and even now there is a new antioxidant that is being talked about a lot, which is astaxanthin. Astaxanthin happens to be derived from an algae in the sea that's
Mm-hmm.
biofermented, and it is 6,000 times more of an antioxidant in its potency than vitamin C. Vitamin C is considered to be the gold standard.
Yeah.
And here we have now astaxanthin that's out, okay, again, naturally derived, but it's giving us some unbelievable results when it comes to evening out the skin tone. And something even more that I found out with astaxanthin is Caucasian people who take the pill, when they get a suntan from taking the astaxanthin, they no longer burn from when they're getting in the sun. They don't burn, but they tan.
Ooh.
So it's
Hmm.
helping the melanin to better function. And that from taking
Awesome.
8 milligrams a day of astaxanthin, where it's no longer helping people. It's helping people to not burn, which is something that for me, it's like, oh, okay,
But it
there's so
speaks
many other
volumes of
things
the antioxidant
of the
capacity, right?
antioxidant capacity, which is
Right.
6,000 times.
Wow. Oh, that is
So
so
we've got a
interesting.
lot of things that are coming out on the market that are safe,
Mm-hmm.
that are effective. And I believe that we really need to also keep in touch with progress,
Right. Keep up to date, right?
keep
So,
up to date with progress.
Maya, just so our listeners are, on the same page with us, if you could say it in a nutshell, what does hydroquinone do?
Hydroquinone
What's the mechanism of
causes
action?
the mechanism of action is that hydroquinone is basically causing depigmentation.
Mm-hmm.
How is that classified as depigmentation? Because it stops the melanocytes from actually working and giving out the melanin to go into the site where there was what I consider to be the damage. So you
Okay.
can go out into the sun, and the our skin,
Uh-huh.
our melanin is reacting in a self-defense, because those dark spots are actually a self-defense mechanism
Right.
from our skin from it getting damaged too much. So maybe, I don't know, one day we'll be able to accept the fact that we have a little dark spot, because that dark spot is our skin healing itself, which was something that I'm glad you mentioned earlier, because people don't look at it that way, that it's actually the self-defense system that's getting in there
To protect our
to,
DNA.
to protect and to heal.
Yeah. So that's what
So that's
hydroquinone
how
does. That's the mechanism of
It
action.
stops that
Okay,
mechanism of action.
very well.
Yes.
So all these ingredients that you just suggested as alternatives, do they do the same thing as a hydroquinone?
No. They do the same thing in a way,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't. Because what an antioxidant will do
Yeah.
is to stop that whole swelling effect that will take place in a self defense. So it
Let me
actually
stop you right there.
interferes.
Okay, just 2 seconds.
Yes,
So, note to the listener, melanin is not your enemy. Guess who is? Inflammation. That's your enemy.
yes,
Okay, go ahead.
that's your enemy caused
So, it
by
interferes, you
things.
were saying.
It interferes, so it stops that whole swelling effect from taking place.
Mm-hmm.
And when that whole swelling effect does not happen, swelling, inflammation,
Inflammation.
because it was irritated by something, in this case, the hydroquinone, that's like stopping the self-defense system, whereas this is not letting it happen at all.
Okay, so
It's a completely different
it's a
way.
completely
And when
different
the swelling
mechanism.
doesn't happen,
Yeah.
there is no self-defense that kicks in, and it returns your skin to what it was supposed to look like, which doesn't have the dark spot.
Exactly. Well, fantastic. I think it's pretty clear for the listener. You get the same result, which is, get rid of your sunspots, your hyperpigmentation, but the mechanism by which it actually does the work is a much friendlier mechanism and a safer
Yes,
mechanism, right? Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. Fantastic. So that's your holy grail that you'd like people to start substituting, and that Maya doesn't consider to be melanin-rich safe. So I've got a couple, but I'm gonna be calm and not try to take over the world in one podcast. So I'm the product I'm gonna say that is not the safest option for melanin rich skin is going to break a lot of hearts, and it broke mine on the way to me deriving to this conclusion. So, background, I love anything and everything French. I lived in France. I love, just the way to approach life, and just this is where
Yes,
this is where I get my
yes. And
inspiration.
they
It's
take
not
it
getting really.
very seriously too. I mean, they take it very, very seriously. Skincare, everything that has to do with cosmetics.
Yeah. So
I think they're the country of gold standards. So
yes,
go ahead.
that is actually in my spas, in my medical aesthetics practice. I did aesthetic medicine in Belgium, and it's it's the French current of aesthetics medicine, and I'm in love with it.
Right.
And I think it's very results oriented, but it's not it's not acceptable to naturally derived ingredients. I have to say this. I have to do tons of research and actually convince myself that something that's naturally derived is actually effective, not only safe. So that's where I've come from. I want things to work, and I want them to work as fast as possible,
Yes.
as easy as possible.
Yes.
I'm a mom of 2 kids. I've got 2 spas running. I want to have a life of my own as well. I want to have some, Netflix time to myself. So I really don't want to wait tons of months for something to give me
That's
a
right.
result. So yeah, I'm very result oriented, and I have to confess I'm a bit skeptic when I hear natural, ingredients. So I become more critical of it because I expect, the performance to be spot on. So back to the Holy Grail product that I wish I could love, but I cannot say that it's safe for melanin-rich skin is the Biologique Recherche P50, the exfoliating lotion. I'm sorry. I just spoke these words. Beauty editors in the world, do not come for me. Do not kill me.
But they're going to.
Oh my God. But That said, little backstory, Biologique Research. I love you. I love the brand. I took a leap year in. It wasn't actually a leap year. Right between the second and the third year of high school, my dad gifted me a year stay in Lyon, France, and
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
and
That's a very nice place.
it's a great place to learn French. And so I loved it. It was a great experience for me. But then I fell in love with Paris. So I sort of switched to Paris. Who doesn't fall
So
in
we're
love?
moving to Paris.
Yeah. So I fell in love with Paris, and I was obviously on a student budget, right? But guess what I did? I skipped meals. Girl, I skipped meals. I did the yogurt lunch and the fast food lunch from the supermarket because I saved all I could possibly save to go into Biologique Research, the cabins, and I could get at least a facial a month done. And I've been hooked on it. I've been, the system, the whole thing. Like I love the concept and just being there and in Paris and doing the French facials. And so I picked tons of tricks from not only that brand, but just from being immersed in the French culture and just being, loving to go into the French pharmacies and spending hours reading ingredients and trying out stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where your money went. He would always tell me, "Oh, you're so skinny when you come back from Europe." It's like, yeah, because I'm saving. I eat one meal a day, and the rest is yogurt and snacks that I pick up on the way because I'm saving. Man, I'm saving up. Obviously, he would have died if he knew I was spending money on makeup and skincare instead of like eating nutritious stuff. Don't recommend it. Just
By the
by
way,
the way,
you know what mine was?
what
Mine was the Estee Lauder.
the brown
It was
the
this
serum?
no the this serum that was like $16 at the time for the smallest bottle. But I used to get on a bus from where I lived to go to the mall and buy the Estee Lauder one because it was the only one that could keep my skin actually hydrated throughout the entire winter in New Jersey.
Mm.
I knew back then, even when I didn't have money, I was living on ramen noodles. So go ahead. Sorry to
No,
interrupt.
it just shows that
I
we're
was literally
so much
my
alike.
my because at I realized at 19 years old that oh, during the winter months in New Jersey there was nothing that would keep my skin hydrated, and by the end of the day it would start to get white patches
Mm,
because the winter was that
so
harsh,
harsh.
and so I needed to have that particular serum from Estee Lauder. So sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it just
P50.
it just shows that hey, we're amongst friends. So this
Yes.
is what the vibe of this podcast is, right? So yeah, Biologique Research, I love you, je t'aime. But this is why I'm saying that P50 lotion is not melanin rich safe because it's too harsh. And if you're using it like the protocol says, you're supposed to be using it twice a day at least. And if
That's
you
a lot.
yeah, it has really great botanical ingredients, but it's also very acidic, which will cause irritation to the skin. Okay, so irritation it's different how a Caucasian skin can deal with it. But even though, say, there can be Caucasian skin types or Fitzpatrick. Let's just go into Fitzpatrick so we don't, rub anybody the wrong way. So lighter Fitzpatrick, which Fitzpatrick is the official scale with which dermatologists and just professionals measure your particular response with melanin to UV light, for instance. So Fitzpatrick is the scale that we'll be using. So lighter Fitzpatrick skin types, 1, 2, could still be sensitive skin and not do good with P50. Okay. But in the case of its darker Fitzpatrick or higher Fitzpatrick, I should say, 3 up to 5-6. We will have the exfoliating factor of the toner. One of the main ingredients is apple cider vinegar. We will have the chemical exfoliation properties, but the way that we melanin-rich girls deal with irritation is inflammation. Because inflammation, right, is a way for our skin, our body in general, but let's just stay focused on skin. It's a way for our skin to say, hey, something's up. Like something's up in this area. So we're going to produce inflammation to whatever's damaging the skin in this area to stop it right there.
Mm-hmm.
So if everything back here is inflamed, none of the pathogen or whatever is being put on the surface here is going to go deeper in, because that's what inflammation is about, to protect our skin, our body, whatever, right? So the thing is, what happens with melanin-rich skins is that inflammation accelerates production of melanin dramatically. So if you're a Latina, you know this, girl. You know this. That's why our moms would always, tell us not to touch your skin. Don't touch the pimple, because everything, for not just Latinas, just any melanin-rich skin, anything that causes inflammation is like the fastest road to producing hyperpigmentation. Post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation is a big issue, one of the biggest issues with beauty regimens and skincare for melanin-rich skin. So this P50 toner, every time I've tried to use it, I've gotten inflamed, but it doesn't go away in a few minutes like other skin reacts to it. It actually just keeps on getting redder and hotter and tenser, and it just produces a tan. I'm always tan. If I use P50, why am I always tan? Because it's a uniform tan, because I get the chemical exfoliation, but I get tan because my whole face gets inflamed, and then my whole face gets post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. So that's why I'm saying to stay away. If you're a melanin-rich girl, stay away from Eucalyptus P50 lotion. There are other options that you could use. For instance, at my spa, we do use Biologique, and what we do is we infuse it with serums, just to kind of bring the pH a little higher, so that we don't have so much of a chemical burn. It's a controlled burn.
That is excellent.
But it's a chemical burn.
That is an excellent way to do it.
So if you have it, you don't have to throw it out, but you do need to get from the same line. You can get a serum. You could get, a soothing serum. Contact whoever's, hooking you up with the Biologique Research, your spa, and they'll suggest what serum you can dilute it with. And I think that's a great option. I've done that. Of course, you don't get the same, exfoliation power, but what I do to compensate it is I sort of rub, because it's not so acidic now. I can actually rub around the areas that I wanted to, exfoliate.
That is
more
excellent. You're talking about this particular product, but there are so many people out there who have access again to these very acidic products
toners,
and who are doing it at home themselves. Okay, and who are giving themselves chemical burns without realizing. A lot of people don't read directions. I've been in the industry long enough to know that truly people don't read directions. I'll never forget when I was working in the R&D department, first response pregnancy test, and we used to answer customers. And the best one was when I got the phone call and said, "Hey, Maya, can you deal with this customer because she's complaining when she needs another first response pregnancy test kit?" And okay, well, how did you use it? Well, I peed on the box.
What?
I'm like,
I'm gonna say my coffee.
You have to keep your composure, right? And you're just Can you say that again, because you have to keep your composure and you have to have them repeat so that you can understand exactly what they did. Well, yes, I peed on the box and I'm not getting any results. And it's okay. Well, we're going to send you a new box, but you need to make sure you open it. Open the little plastic that it's in and explain in detail.
Right.
Because that's why we have to really explain in detail how to use a product. Especially, I feel that it should apply for every product, but then at the same time, it's especially that a product that's at risk
Right.
of doing something, it needs to be in not only in every single little detail, but also maybe in every single language. I don't know if there's a language barrier or something. Tell the people, this is what can happen to you. This is very strong. I seriously, as a professional, don't think it's okay for anyone to go onto Amazon and be able to buy a 70% acidic chemical peel.
Right.
That should not be in the hands of anyone but professionals.
But professionals, you're right. Absolutely. Yeah.
And
Completely agree.
everybody has access to it, thinking they're going to save a buck by doing it themselves, and they're not.
No, and it becomes a huge
yes.
problem. It becomes, this is what we're here for, right? Love
Yes.
Your Melanin will be about all that. You need to also send in whatever questions you might have. If you're a little on the edge about purchasing a certain product, send
Except don't curse us out because we're interfering with your facial.
No. Just because, send questions in, and and this is what we want to make the dialogue more popular, and just make it a beauty standard for the industry to consult with us melanin-rich girls, and to, like Maya said at the beginning, talk to us, not at us, and eventually derive in an industry that can be much more conscious of the damage that melanin-rich skin can actually, have.
Yes,
because
lot of
using products. Yeah, so I have another product, which is the Marc Jacobs, the pineapple water hydrating cream. I read the instructions. It's a day, like a day, everyday kind of moisturizer. And I love the concept. I know tons of people are raving about it. But then here's the thing: pineapple water. Yeah, same thing as with the apple cider vinegar. It's not the devil. It's just something that can be beneficial to Fitzpatrick 1 or 2 skin types, which are skin types that don't produce tons of melanin, that are, quite pale skin types. And their melanin is not going to react as aggressively as those higher Fitzpatrick skin types, because we're genetically programmed to defend aggressively against any irritation with melanin production. So the response will be different. Okay, your soldiers, your skin protecting soldiers, your DNA protecting soldiers are trained differently if you're Fitzpatrick 1 or 2 than if you're Fitzpatrick 3 or higher. Okay, that's just the way it is. It doesn't really matter where we live. It's just genetically we are programmed to react more aggressively. Whenever I've lived abroad in Europe specifically, and I've been deprived of sunlight for extended periods of time, yes, my skin will become paler. It'll become different color, but it will react always as a melanin-rich skin, because that's the way my soldiers are trained and programmed. My melanocytes are programmed genetically to react to irritation in a more aggressive way. So when we're using this pineapple hydrating cream, pineapple water hydrating cream, the chemical exfoliation that it provides, and it's been beneficial to lighter skin types, actually produces irritation in 3 or higher Fitzpatrick skin types, which, as I said earlier before, that is our enemy. Inflammation is our enemy in general, but specifically to melanin-rich skin. But I do recommend enzymes, pineapple and papaya-derived enzymes for cleansing, for masking. Those are lovely things for all Fitzpatrick skin types. So yeah, load up on those, but nothing that is going to be on your skin when you're out and about in the day under sunlight, no matter how little sunlight you think you're getting. So yeah, pass on that. And I guess this is pretty much it, Maya, for our first official podcast of Love Your Melanin. I'm so excited. I hope that our listeners get excited along with us. I'm so grateful for Maya, you taking the time to go along with this craziness. Let's see where this road leads to. Whatever it does, it's just a passion project that Maya and I are really, really keen on making it work, and dedicating time to inspire and be inspired by girls like you, our listener, a melanin-rich girl who will teach us along the way many things that we still have to learn in our professional journey. And so we're just so excited about this. Please check our next episode. We'll be talking about clean beauty, what that means and how it applies to melanin-rich skin and how to love your melanin. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for following. Please do follow us, actually. Maya, do you want to tell them where they can find us on Instagram?
Love Your Melanin Pod.
Awesome. At Love Your Melanin Pod. And we'll be there. You can then follow us on our social media links and all that. So thank you so much. Please give us some love. And see you next time. Hear you next time.
And send us your questions.
Yes,
send us your question for the next time.
All right. Well, thank you so much, girl. Love your melanin. Bye.
Bye.